Welcome to CRJ 112. This is the last chapter we're taking a look at, Chapter 14, which provides an overview of the criminal justice system. And when we really look at the system, there really wasn't much of a formal one until the 19th century when the first police agencies were created. And the term criminal justice system really became prominent in the late 60s when the President's Commission on Law Enforcement and Administration of Justice launched a nationwide study of the nation's crime problem. And so when you look at the field, it uses knowledge from various disciplines in an attempt to try to understand what causes people to commit crimes and how to deal with the crime problem. Now, law enforcement agencies in the criminal justice system are charged with peacekeeping, deterring potential criminals, and apprehending those that do break the law. The traditional police role involved maintaining order through patrolling public streets and highways, but it's expanded to include a variety of human service functions, and those range from preventing youth crime and diverting juvenile offenders from the criminal justice system to resolving family conflicts. Now, when we look at the court system, the court is a complex social agency with many independent but also interrelated subsystems. It's the scene of many important elements of criminal justice decision making. Now, within the system, the entire process is governed by certain rules that are designed to ensure fairness. The prosecutor and defense attorney are opponents in what we call the adversary system. Now, when you look on page 388 in figure 14.4, you're going to find the structure of a state judicial system. And then on page 389 in figure 14.5, you'll see a breakdown of the federal judicial system. Now, when we look at corrections, we'll see that probation is a legal disposition that allows the convicted offender to remain in the community, subject to certain conditions imposed by the court, and then supervised by a probation officer. Those that are sentenced to 1 year or less for misdemeanors are typically held in jails, while those who are sentenced for 1 year or more are held in a prison. Now, when we look at the contemporary criminal justice system, it's rather monumental in size. It administers civil and criminal justice, and now it costs federal, state, and local governments more than $200 billion each year. It also employs more than 2 million people, and the system is massive really because it has to process, treat, and care for millions of people. More than 14 million people are arrested each year, and more than 7 million people are in the correctional system, whether it's jails, prisons, or on probation and parole. Now, the process of justice really consists of the actual steps the offender takes from initial investigation through trial, sentencing, and appeal. And so the justice process includes about 15 different stages, each of which is a decision point through which cases flow. You're going to find those 15 points on pages 394 through 397 of your textbook. And figure 14.7 on page 395 really helps break it down even more. Now, when we look at discretion, some experts believe that the justice system processes cases in a routine, ritualized manner that kind of looks like an assembly line. Because justice is often dispensed in a hasty fashion, an innocent person could suffer, or a dangerous person could be released to continue to commit crime. So the system really acts as a funnel. Most people who commit crime escape detection, and of those who do not, relatively few are really bound over for trial, convicted, and sentenced for prison. For more on that, look at figure 14.9 on page 399. Now, at every stage of the criminal justice process, discretion is used by a criminal justice agency and its officials, who has to decide whether to send the case further down the line or do they kick it from the system. Now, those decisions can transform the person that's passing through the system from an accused to a defendant, convicted criminal, inmate, and then an ex-convict. And so in many cases, criminal justice agents really work together to settle the case, even though they are supposedly adversaries. Now, each component of the system is really supposed to be closely supervised by state and federal courts through the law of criminal procedure. Procedural law it controls the actions of the agencies of justice and defines the rights of criminal defendants. So procedural laws really have different sources. The most important of these are the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, which is generally referred or called the Bill of Rights. Now, included within those amendments are the rights of people to be secure in their homes from unwarranted intrusions by government agents, which is the Fourth Amendment, to be free from self-incrimination, the Fifth Amendment, and to be protected against cruel punishment, which is the Eighth Amendment. So as we kind of summarize here, when you look at the role of criminal justice, it can be interpreted in several different ways. People who study the field or work in its agencies bring their own ideas and feelings to bear when they try to decide on what's the right course of action to take or to recommend someone taking. So there are a number of different perspectives in criminal justice today. There's the crime control perspective, which is oriented toward deterring people from committing crime in the first place and then incapacitating serious criminal offenders. There's the due process model, which sees the justice system as a legal process. There's the rehabilitation model, which views the justice system as a treatment agency. The equal justice model, which is concerned with making the system equitable. There's the non-intervention model, which is concerned about the stigma or labels placed upon people and helping defenders avoid this widening net of justice. And finally, there's the restorative justice model, which is focused on finding peaceful and humanitarian solutions to crime. Now, realistically, there's not one of these that are better than the rest. It's probably a combination of these that would have the greatest impact on reducing and preventing crime. So I hope you enjoyed this course, and hopefully I'll see you next semester in another course.